Hey guys, it's me. I wanted to kind of follow up on the early post I put about, instead of picking a word for the year, perhaps pick an action like a verb, something that you want to do. Because a lot of people, including myself over the year, have picked a word or an affirmation or a mantra. And then we end up, and we look back and we end up right where we left, pretty much right where we left. So, what I'm encouraging everybody to do this year is not only to be intentional, but to have an action verb, meaning an ing, that you actually going to accomplish and get done this year. Now, the question that I get often is like, Carlos, how do I do that? How do I go about it, to improve my health, my finances, my career, whatever. So, I'm going to give you general overview of the ins and out about how to get that going. Okay, and it's pretty much and I wrote here, I'm going to try to break it into 3 steps, but if you need more help with that, you can just go to the FitLab hub, J Carlos FitLab. There's a FitLab hub where I get free resources for everybody. You can watch some of my tutorial videos and I can talk you through it, and also some tools, PDF and worksheets to help you and guide you through the process. But the first thing that you want to realize and kind of come to terms if what is exactly what you or who you want to become, because definitely right now where you're right now you're not too happy, and that's why you're setting yourself some goals, picking an affirmation, using some mantras. So what exactly is or who do you want to become? Once you figure that out, then you're going to move into step number 2, which I call the Frankenstein build, right? Because one thing, especially as a business owner, as a physiotherapist trainer, one thing that we always struggle in the past was like, well, I don't know what it looks like, right? It's like, I want to be a billionaire, but I don't know what a billionaire looks like, or what do they do, or how do they act, how do they live, how do they dress, right? So the first thing to do is create a Frankenstein build. And that's where you take about 3 or 5 traits or values, more importantly, of that person that you're wanting to be. Okay, so if that person is kind, if that person is compassionate, if that person is selfish, or if that person is more knowledgeable, you're gonna find 3 or 5 people, okay, that you look up to because they have those traits, one, maybe 2 of those traits. And then you kind of create your own little Frankenstein of your future self. Usually I have anywhere from 4 to 5 people that I look up to. Usually they're my mentors, so I'm already working with them. I'm kind of like embedded in their life cycle, if not weekly, monthly. So I can start to kind of see the patterns, and that's the key. See the patterns that they, exhibit, so I can actually start modeling them, not copying them, but modeling them. So that's the second step, build it. Right? And then the third and last one, and I wrote here, which is pretty important, is like, find people. Once you find them, there's the key one, you're gonna do that for about 12 weeks, where you're gonna embed usually, and when I say embed, I mean in every possible way, visually, audibly, send every single sense of your body into it. Like for instance, for me, this is a visual trade, a little rubber band, as a reminder, because one of my mentors does use this, right? So I'm trying to emulate, and you do that for about 12 weeks. It does take longer to change a habit, we all know that, but the key is to have it forefront. All right, now those are the 3 steps. And if you work with me in the past or follow me along, I know so much about the cheerleading, all rainbows and unicorns, but what if it doesn't happen? What if I don't find the people? What if I don't know what I want to be? And this is where today's I'm going to help you with it. So let's go back to step 1. If you don't know what type of person or who do you want to become, what we're going to do, we're going to reverse engineer. So what have you done? What have you dealt with? What have you struggled and overcome that you don't want to deal about it anymore? You don't want to deal with it anymore. You don't want to be that person. You don't want to be snappy. You don't want to be that wench that everybody, kind of don't like to be around with, right? Or you just don't like something within yourself. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna do the entire opposite. You're gonna reverse engineer that. So, and here's a way to look at it. For instance, let's say that I go out with 5 red hair girls, right? I go with 5, but each of them are different. Okay. However, I broke up with all 5 because one was always late, one was messy, one didn't like dancing, one didn't like to work out, the other one was kind of like a flounder and tumbleweed. She didn't have any career path or life path, right? Now, however, I like the fact that they were all five of them were red hair, but I did like a trait of them particularly. So because I don't know what I want, now I know the things that I do not want. So I do want a red hair that tends to be on time, that she likes to be active, that she does have an idea where she wants to go with her life. So if you're following me, so you kind of like go by process of elimination, in other words, okay? So that's how you kind of go over that first step, kind of deal with it if you feel stuck. Now, number two, as far as like the trade on values, kind of goes hand in hand with number one, but now you got to try to find people. And that's where the networking, the community, or some people say the support system comes in handy, right? Because you want to try to connect and ask people, hey, do you know somebody that is into volunteering, somebody that's into humane society, somebody that's into helping seniors? So you're gonna start networking and reaching out to people that you already know, or you might have an acquaintance that can help you in that. And then the last part is the one that actually takes the longest, and people fall off the wagon because of it. Because you need to actually rewire your brain, not your mind. Your mind part is the one that we already talked about, your trait, your values, things that you stand up for. But your brain, the neuro component, the neuroscience that everybody kind of like fumbles and kind of make a mess out of it, and then don't go through the mess, is the second part, the subconscious part. And we go through this in depth into the emotional recoding when we talk about your healthy eating and kind of working on your core strength and stability and mobility from the subconscious component. So you don't have to always activate your core. We do that on the, emotional recoding. But generally speaking, what you want to do is kind of deal with the situation or be aware of the situation, right? Then the second part you want to do is kind of what kind of thoughts go through your head. What do you come with it negatively? Do you come with it optimistically? What kind of thoughts go? What kind of like the chatter voices are in your head? And then emotionally, how do you feel? Angry, anxious, happy, looking forward to it, or why not? Those two things itself actually gonna dictate your attitude towards that situation. Once you figure that out, you're actually one step ahead. So the first thing is to recognize, right? The second part of it is like, what is your take on it? What do you believe about it? Do you think it's like, it's a waste of time? Or man, this is gonna fast track my career? Or man, this is gonna improve my golf game? Or boy, I'm gonna be able to get off the medications a little sooner. So what is your take? What do you really, in your loins, deep inside, do you feel and believe in it? Okay, and that again is kind of like the murky water that people don't like to go through, but you have to sit with yourself and go through this process. Okay, and then it's go time. This is the time that I tell people it's time to burn the boat and figure out how to live and get along in the island, because decision day is decision making. Once you figure out your attitude and once you figure it out, the thoughts and the chatter voices in your head, it's time to make a decision that this is who I want to become. I build this Frankenstein by myself, for myself, using the values and the traits that I believe and I stand for. So I'm all in. I'm 100% in. Right? And this is when people are like, my back was against the wall. You see a lot of professional athletes, they overcome adversity because this is their way out of their neighborhood, or this is the way they repay their parents. Okay, so it's decision time. And then the last two are the ones that people tend not to get to because they don't go through that part of, going deep into their belief, into their heart, into their soul, which is taking action. Once you built your Frankenstein, you burned the boats, and you made the decision to stay in that island with that person that you created that you want to be. It's time to take actions based on how that new Frankenstein move, live, eat, sleep, talk to people, yell at people, drive. That way you're gonna end up getting the results and become the person that you want. So again, as you see, it's a lot of doing. You got to do a lot of things instead of waiting to have this, waiting to have that. If I'm going to save money, if I'm going to have time off, if I'm going to be able to, to meet somebody, you have to take action. And that's why this year, especially the Chinese year, is the year of the rabbit, right? This year is time to, once you get aware and recognize things, take action. Okay. Now, again, If you need any help, go to the FitLab Hub, J. Carlos FitLab. There's a FitLab Hub with all the tutorials and worksheets and all that. It's free. You just have to sign up so you can have access. But in the upcoming week, I'm going to go a little deeper so you can work on your core strength, stability, and mobility subconsciously. So you stop having to engage your core with your workouts, with your routines, with your golf game, with your running, and everything else. I'm gonna go and help you and guide you subconsciously how to do that in the upcoming days. So stay tuned, and of course, let me know below any questions or any thoughts that you have on the matter that we just went over today. Until then, be well and stay happy.